So what were you talking about? Books? Who does even read books, bro? Nah, big headache. Nah, I don't read books. Oh, it's turned on. Yes. Welcome.
Hey, feeling good, like I should.
And today we're gonna talk about books. 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 When it comes to books, and especially when it comes to I myself, it's been around 2 years since I started reading books. Like, I'm not a fully completely addictive reader, and I don't suppose you must be one, because it's not about being addicted to books. It's just about getting, 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 getting the right values from reading those books, and that's what generally reading book is. When it comes to reading books, we generally think about being productive, being smart, being Ali Abdal, being Ali Abdal. Wait a minute, where was I? Anyways, let's begin for real. Why should you all actually read books? Like, in my point of view, when it comes to reading books, it varies or it depends from person to person. Like, a few people read it for fun, and few read it for knowledge, and few just don't bother about reading books. When it comes to fun, there's one more word that starts with that letter F. No, 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 don't get the wrong idea. I'm talking about fiction. When it comes to fun, just put it like this: fun equals fiction. It's not a math class though, but whenever people generally read books, that fiction, especially, they are hooked into reading more and more and more because the story is such that they want to know what is the next thing, what is the next part, what's gonna happen next in the story. So they are hooked into that story, right? And they want to know what's gonna happen next. It is kind of a sus thing that they want to know what happens next. But to me, I'm not generally a fiction reader because I just zoom out whenever I read fiction. But to many of you who read fiction, it's a good thing because it helps you in increasing a lot of things. Especially reading books helps you increase focus and makes you a focused person. Whatever it may be self-help fiction, non-fiction, whatever you are reading, it helps you increase focus. Sorry, it helps you increase your focus, and that's why the first thing you should start reading books. And when it comes to fiction, especially, why should you read fiction as a beginner? It's because when you start reading fiction, you have probably watched movies, right? Animes or dramas or whatever you're watching. They tell a story, right? Everything that you watch on YouTube videos or whatever, they tell you a story, right? And that's what books do. Rather than watching on a screen, you read it on a paper. So when you read it on a paper, you are more focused. So there are no distractions. It improves your focus. And secondly, when it comes to reading fiction, it improves your imaginative skills. It helps your imagination, right? Like whenever you're reading something, you are imagining it at the same time, right? As you're reading. Let me just get you one book. Yeah, you can guess by the dust on the book that I don't actually read fiction a lot. But yeah, here's a book by T.J. Klune that's The House in Cerulean Sea. And if I read a chapter from this page, you can see I read it on halfway and I just left it in the middle. I'll just read a paragraph or something, a dialogue. He blinked his eyes open slowly the next morning. Warm sunlight filtered in through the window. He smelled salt in the air. It felt like a lovely dream, but then reality burst through and he remembered where he was. So while I was reading, I was also imagining whatever the characters were doing. So yeah, it helps you in imagination, in visualization, right? And lastly, it gives you a moral lesson. Like most of it, yeah, whenever you watch movies, few movies, it's like there are exceptions. Not all movies give you a moral lesson, a few, and that's the exceptional case. So yeah, reading fiction books gives you like imagination skills. Imagination helps you improve your visual learning and gives you a moral lesson, good moral lesson. And yeah, if you are generally reading any book, helps you increase your focus.
Feeling good, like I should.
When it comes to non-fiction books, we gain a lot of knowledge by reading non-fiction books in compared to fiction books. Fiction books do have a moral lesson, a moral lesson, a moral lesson. But when it comes to non-fiction, we have lessons, lessons, lessons. Look, firstly, I'm not a kind of person who generally reads fiction because whenever I read fiction, I just get zoomed out. But whenever I read non-fiction, I'm hooked. Right? Firstly, whenever you read non-fiction books, they give you a practical knowledge, right? They give you practical knowledge. Whatever you read, the books like biographies or non-fiction books, when it comes to non-fiction books, books like Nawal Ravikant, Lal Manakop, Nawal Ravikant, or Atomic Habits, like these kind of books are the books that give you a lot of knowledge whenever you read it. These books teach you the stuff that isn't taught or included into your syllabus or into your textbook. And there are few things that you learn only by your experience or by reading somebody else's experience. And books are a great way of that, especially non-fiction books are a great way of gaining insights from somebody else's experience. For example, you can take Atomic Habits, right? It's a famous book, and most of you guys might be familiar with that book. In that book, the author Jim Steer talks about environment. He talks about changing your environment, and what does that do? Changing your environment helps you in avoiding distractions. It decreases your distractions, and you're much focused on the task that you're doing. Right? It's a good advice, and that's an advice that helped me a lot in my studies. And it is like you must take advice from a book. It's not like you must complete the full book and you must apply all the advices that you read from that book. See, most of the books, most of the productivity books, most of the books that you read based on self-help are repetitive, right? Most of the books are repetitive. But if you are able to take one single strong advice from that book that can change your life, that book is worth reading, right? That book is worth reading. So if there is one single thing that you have got from that book that you find valuable and that has affected your life in a positive way, then that books are worth reading. Because many people ask me that how can they finish the book that they have started reading, and it's a big myth that you must finish the book that you have started reading. It's a complete myth. You must not finish the book that you have started reading because you'll forget everything that you have read, right? Just pick up any book, like good book, and like it's a fiction book. Talking about a non-fiction book, yeah, here it is a non-fiction book. Here is a non-fiction. Pick up any chapter that you like. Start from that chapter, and yeah, just apply those things that apply to you and that you find valuable into your life, and you're good to go. It's not like you should completely read that book and finish all the 300, 200 pages of that book. That's not thing that you must be doing whenever you're reading non-fiction. But when it comes to fiction, you must read the whole book. Next, when it comes to non-fiction, you just take the advice that you find valuable. I'm repeating this word again and again: valuable, valuable, valuable. Because when it comes to non-fiction books, nobody's forcing you to read these books, right? So you read whatever you like, whatever chapter you like to read or whatever part you like to read. So just read whatever you like. There's no pressure. It's Don't think these books are just like your academic books, okay? These are not your academic books, and you should not complete it chapter by chapter. It's a big bad thing that we have learned from our education system, that you must complete every chapter. No, it's not like that. You just read the chapter that you like, that applies to your life, and that you find valuable. So yeah, that's all I have to say about reading books. Yeah, you can go do whatever work you have to do. Go, get out.
On my Sunday best.
I can clearly see that you're still here. Get out now, else I'm gonna call your mom.
Feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed,